one thing that I did want to talk about in kind of conjunction with the offense is the fact that we all are aware of this fact as of right now that Jameson Williams is going to miss some games, right? Due to the suspension of him placing a few bets, on team property, facility, whatever the verbiage of it is. He's going to miss those 6 games. So I think for a lot of people, we've for a number of people, there's been this level of concern of like, okay, well, what are the Lions going to do in place of Jamo? Right? Are they going to be okay? Is there going to be a problem at receiver? Do they need to trade for a receiver? Like all of these different thought processes have crossed people's minds. And I'm kind of more so sitting here like, could the suspension of Jameson Williams be a blessing in disguise? And I know that might sound crazy to some of you, but when I sit back and think about again last season, the Lions were able to put up like again, if you didn't catch me earlier, like this offense was able to be a top five, top three offense without Jameson Williams. And with a lot of the same types of pieces that they currently have. And the beauty of when they were finally able to roll Jameson in is that teams didn't know what to expect from Jameson. Jameson was able to come in and execute whatever role that he had because Ben Johnson had already established those plays. He already kind of knew exactly how he was going to utilize Jameson Williams. That when he was finally available, it was like instant, right? You could instantly see the type of impact that he was going to have on this offense. And so when I think about the fact of like, okay, Jameson's going to be suspended, because are there any positives out of this? And one of the positives I thought about is that by the Lions not having Jameson, this offense becomes a little more mysterious. You become a little like again, not quite sure of what they're able to do because they're missing one of their key weapons and one of their most explosive weapons. So again, even if you play the Lions early in the season, if you're like a division rival like the Packers or the Bears, we don't play the Vikings until like we don't play the Vikings twice until late in the season. Jeez, finally got that together. We don't play the Vikings until later in the season twice. But the Bears and Green Bay we play relatively early in the season. And again, if we're talking about what you put on tape, well, Jameson's plays and what Jameson is going to do for this offense will not be on tape. So there's still going to be that level of mystery of like, okay, what are they actually going to do with him once he's finally available? So that's something that I think like could actually be a benefit to this offense. And when looking at okay, he's going to be out, but at least we know that like, hey, whatever we see offensively, there's more to it than that. In addition to that, Jameson not being available allows Jared Goff and the rest of these offensive players to build chemistry together. Like we talked about in the last segment, like they have David Montgomery, they have Marvin Jones, they have Sam Laporta, they have Jameer Gibbs, and so there's all these new pieces that Jared Goff has to get familiar with, in addition to Jameson Williams. So like if Jared's trying to do all of that with all of these pieces during the season, obviously they're in OTAs, obviously they're already starting that process, but things start to feel differently once the season starts. Things are going to look and feel differently once they get in the games. So Jameson not being available gives Goff one less person that he has to focus on in the heat of battle during the season, and he can work more towards again getting a guy like Sam Laporta comfortable in the NFL game and understanding like, hey, this is what I need you to do. This is where I need you to be. It allows him to build that trust with a guy like Marvin Jones, who was a great deep threat, but again, we've seen Golf at times like be hesitant to trust some of his deep threats because he's just not sure like are they going to go up and get it? Are they going to run the route short or anything like that? We saw that happen a couple times with DJ Chark early in the season. So the more that him and Marvin Jones can get to work together, they can build that trust of like, you know what, I can trust Marvin to fight for this ball in the air. That's even better. Again, understanding and being able to coach up a guy like Jameer Gibbs and trying to again, same with Sam Laporta, letting him know like, hey, this is where I need you. This is the perfect time to sit a route down and do this or that. Um, and that's just kind of like I think that's a huge benefit that we're not considering, seeing as again this offense was already functioning very well, but there are new pieces that are going to need a little bit more TLC. They're going to need a little more time to gel. And again, not having a Jameson Williams there is one less mouth to feed. There's one less mouth that you have to focus on. And Jameson's still there during OTA, so he's getting that work now, anyways. but these guys will just get additional work during those first 6 weeks that he's out. And finally, like the biggest benefit that I think that you're probably going to get of having a Jameson Williams out is that Jamo's going to have so much to prove, right? He missed so much of last season because he was hurt, and that obviously like didn't sit well with him. He really wanted to play. We heard about him carrying a football around all throughout OTAs and just kind of being that guy that was just constantly hanging around the team and wanting to be involved. Well, now you don't get to play again because of a decision you made. And whether you're that person or not, but like I'm sure Jamo has heard the chatter that he's a problem, that he's immature, that there's this, that there's that he's a bust, all of these things. Well, now all you're doing is fueling that fire. He has more incentive, even more incentive to get on the field and showcase that he's not any of those things. And so, while again, I would much rather have him playing week one and have him out there against Oklahoma or against Kansas City. I was about to say Oklahoma City. I don't know why, but having him out against Kansas City would be great, and it would make for even an even better matchup if he was available. But again, there are silver linings. I know Luke's in the chat disagreeing me. You disagree with me saying no, it's not a blessing at all. And I disagree. I do think there is things that you can get out of this that are actually going to be beneficial for other people. Grit, like you like saying the same thing, right? Opportunity for someone else to step up. Whether again, it's a Sam Laporta, whether it's a Jameer Gibbs, whether it's a Josh Reynolds, whether it's an Antoine Green, who was a seventh round pick, who now gets an opportunity to kind of show what he has. Um, there's just more opportunities available to everybody just from the simple fact that Jamo has to miss some games. Grit saying the trade Jamo camp is going to look really stupid in his first home game. Listen, I'm of the same belief. Like this idea, and Luke and I go back and forth on this one where he says why receivers come a dime a dozen. True, but not good ones. Like there's a lot of bad wide receivers that are drafted every year. So this idea that like you can just find another Jameson Williams or you can find somebody that does what he's doing and what he's capable of doing. I just don't believe. I don't buy it. Um if he was put it this way, if Jamo was like that stereotypical like short, quick, that short, fast wide receiver, I would agree with you wholeheartedly, Luke. I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, you can find that guy anywhere because every time there's a guy that comes into the draft that's like 5'10 but runs a 4.2, everybody thinks they can turn that guy into Tyreek Hill. And that's just never been the case. Um, Jamo actually has size on him. He's not obviously not mass, but he has height. He has the ability to run all of these different routes. And we did see him on the field. And you can't lie and say that when you saw him on the field, that's legit speed, and that's legit speed that you only see from guys like Tyreek Hill, like a Jalen Waddle. So again, I'm excited about the possibilities of what can happen while Jamo is out, but I'm also obviously like the rest of you, highly anticipating his return. Luke saying if Lions continue to succeed without Jamo, we have to ask, did we need him? Yes, because again, what he does they are not able to do without him. They're just not. There's no one that takes the top off the defense like he does, in the sense of like Jared Goff could literally drop back in a 3 to 5 step drop, and Jamos can beat coverage. Anything else, any other deep shot that you're getting has to come off play action, and that had to be built off of the run being very successful early in that game. Jamo is an electric factor that again he doesn't need like a setup like that. He can beat coverage on his own. Um, it just becomes a matter of again him building that trust with Goff and being able to do the things um, that this offense needs him to do. Also saying another guy who will benefit is Antoine Green. Again, I think Antoine Green has a lot of opportunity. Again, did a comparison video or a pros and cons video of his skill set as well. And he comps really well to Marvin Jones. So, what better person to learn from and understand how to play the wide receiver position than a guy who does and plays the position very similar to you? So, again, I said it last stream. I really hope that Marvin Jones and Antoine Green are like literally tied at the hip, and I hope that they're literally bouncing ideas off each other. I hope Marvin's mentoring him. Um, so yeah, Luke, I'm not gonna let you do this to Jamo. You're not gonna put him in a box and say Jamo on Madden is a cheat code, but in real life, I don't know. You don't have to guess. We saw it. Like we saw it on three of Jamo's like three plays that Jamo got involved in, two of them went for touchdowns. Like, and it's literally just because he just beat the defense deep, right? And it would have been two touchdowns had there not been that holding penalty. And even on the end around, like it's that speed we haven't seen in Detroit since Javid Best. And I still think like Jamo would probably make Javid Best look slow. Like, just being completely honest right now.